Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Before the Bell live session. This is week 22, 2023, more precisely May 29, 2023, and my name is Jose Blasco. I will be delighted to conduct the session today to go over our normal practice. And every week, when we look at 5 of the most important markets in the world, key markets, even though today is a special day, right, because being the Memorial Day in the US and other holidays, by the way, in other places in the world as well. So volumes are low, many markets are closed, but certain markets are trading and we are global traders. Therefore, we are not going to break the routine and we are preparing for the week ahead as we do every Monday. My contact information, in case you're watching this recorded and you may have questions, you can find it on the screen, as well as the information that you can see on the left, which is our newsletter. You can easily subscribe to it by following the link on the screen. So let's begin with our market preparation for the week. We're going to be using real-time charts, as you can see on the left. I will be combining, I'm not sure why this is okay. I think I made a mistake with how I share my screen. Give me a moment, please. Just 1 second, because I believe my screen is not updating properly because probably I didn't share my screen the way I should have. So let me fix that very quickly. Sorry about that. It is not like we do not conduct live sessions, isn't it? Let me see. Okay, one moment. One moment, everybody. Sorry about that. Normally, this is easier. Okay, you should be able to see the charts now. Interesting. Doesn't seem to show the charts. So something got stuck on my end. Please allow me a moment to see if I can fix it, because this is indeed very strange. Okay. I hope this will work this time. Okay, yes. So I will now be able to see what we need. Unfortunately, I will not be able to show the news letter that I was pointing at earlier. I mean, you saw the title. The title of our newsletter on LinkedIn is Before the Bell in 3D. You can go ahead and follow the instructions on the screen when you use the URL that you can see in the bottom part of my screen, tradewithufos.com/3D newsletter, to get access to this information. Normally, I like to use the newsletter as a supporting tool to go over the materials. Today, I won't be able to do it because of this technical issue. Sorry about that. But in any case, let's begin with the session, and let's still go over the 5 markets that we need to go through. We're going to be looking at them from different angles. The first market that I will be looking at is the ES one exclamation mark, which it's another way to say that is the S&P 500 futures continuous contract. And in this particular case, I will be focusing on the climate that we see on the bottom part of the screen, as well as the UFOs. All that information is very nicely detailed on the newsletter. But again, since I cannot have it on the screen, so you will have to check that by yourself. Okay, so I will do my best to point at the key informations. So what do we have when it comes to the S&P 500, where we recently changed from a red to a blue climate? The statistical duration of down climate is supposed to be 3, and in this case, it was just perfect 3 red dots. From there, we moved into a blue climate. The statistical duration of a blue climate is supposed to be of 8 candles on the way up on the daily time frame. and this is candle number one. Current is one. So the expectation would be for the S&P to keep moving higher. Having said that, well, statistics suggest that's what's going to happen, and that's certainly important to have as a reference. We cannot ignore the red UFOs and the green UFOs. Red UFOs representing sell on-field orders on the S&P, which in this case they are located at 4258.00. That's where the sell orders are, and the buy on-field orders, which are located at 4175.5. So in other words, the expectation would be that if the S&P falls and comes to the green, it's gonna go back up, and if it comes to the red, then it will go down from there. So careful in this sense, because we are expecting a climate to propagate for up to 8 candles. That would be a normal thing to happen. But the reality is that this very relevant stack of sell on-field orders is located pretty close to the current price, and we may end up having a short duration climate, like for example this one that had 3 candles on the way up and then it changed to red. Something like that could happen, even though the expectation based on probabilities would be a duration of 8. But again, that is without taking into the consideration the UFOs, which when you look at the chart, I guess you are now with me with this particular challenge or hurdle along the way if you want to go along the S&P. So there is room for the S&P to move higher, but careful, the moment we get to 4258.00, the expectation would be to have a change of direction pointing down. Good. So this is the specific condition for the S&P. The second market that I'm going to analyze is crude oil futures. Remember, I said we're going to be looking at the 5 most relevant markets that there are out there. In this case, we started with the largest equity index market in the world. That's the S&P. Now we are moving to the largest energy market. In this case, is WTI crude oil. And you can see that in the case of crude oil, we started a down climate. Red color here in the bottom part of the screen. So we are in a down climate. We actually, you can see exactly what I just explained a moment ago when it comes to the S&P. Exactly that happened to crude oil, where you were in a blue climate, it went up a little bit, hit that red UFO, and from there, look at a pretty significant move in the opposite direction, and actually even a change of climate that UFO generated. So again, those price points are relevant. Even though 74.53 is an area of on-field orders that have been tested already, the reality is that our UFOs are still on the screen. Notice how the color of the UFO is dark red instead of lighter red, which means that the probability of this UFO to work powerfully is less. But the fact that our technology is still plotting it on the screen means that this is still a relevant UFO to keep into consideration for the trades. Just like the one below, the green UFO at 6984, it's a olive green color UFO. Let me see, it seems that in crude oil, they are all olive green, but sometimes we also have the pure green UFOs. If I go back to the S&P, you can see how these green color UFOs are of a lighter green, right? So the purer the color, the higher the probability for the trades. The less pure the color, the less the probability. In this case, both the red UFO and the green UFO have been tested, but at the same time, the fact that the technology still plot them means that it's still relevant and turning points are to be expected. So again, new down climate in the case of crude oil, WTI crude oil, the one that trades in the NYMEX exchange in the context of the CME group. And, again, we can see that we started moving to the downside the way I just explained. The next market that we are going to analyze is gold futures. So we looked at the largest equity index market in the world, the S&P futures, followed by the largest energy markets, WTI crude oil, followed by the largest metal, most relevant precious metal in the world, which is gold, which is the one that we have on the screen right now. And in this case, we can see we are in a down climate for gold. This climate, though, has been running for 11 candles on the way down, where statistically speaking, the duration of this climate, a normal thing to happen would be a duration of 5. We more than double that, meaning that we are reaching 2 standard deviations of price extension here. So could it keep going? Yes, for sure. Like it happened here before. We had a very crazily extended climate on the way down. But is it normal for this market to continue going down? Well, based on statistics, it's not. And again, it's not only about statistics, it's also about the UFOs. And notice how price got to this UFO. And the moment it got to that UFO, it bounced, started going higher, kissed the red UFO above, came back down again, came back into the green, and now it's looking like it wants to bounce up again. So again, if this green UFO ends up producing the move to the upside that we are expecting, we may move from a red climate to a blue climate, and then the expectation would be 6 days on the way up. That would be a normal thing to happen in the case of gold. So again, very relevant comments here because these markets impact everything depending on what you trade, of course. But energies, metals, the S&P are really relevant markets. Now, the boss, if you wish, is the dollar index, right? Because in the end, gold is priced in dollars, crude oil is priced in dollars, the S&P is priced in dollars. So whatever happens to the dollar is definitely going to impact everything else. And we've been talking about this for a while, that we are in an up climate on the dollar. And this up climate is very extended. It's kind of like the opposite image of gold, which makes sense because gold is priced in dollars, where we got 12 candles on the way up. Statistics suggest 5 is a normal thing to happen. So it's more than double on the way up. Gold was more than double on the way down. So statistically speaking, it is unsustainable. We should have a turn to the downside sooner than later. But here's what happens. If we do have a turn on the way down in the case of the dollar, immediately we're going to hit those green UFOs at 103.54.5. That may have a short duration change of climate from blue to red, and then back to blue. And from there is plenty of room for price to travel all the way to 105.33, which is where we find the sell on field orders in the case of the dollar. If that movement happens on the dollar, and price keeps expanding, extending to the upside all the way to 105, it would be expected that many other markets, could be gold, could be crude oil, could be the equities, could be even the cryptocurrencies, and other markets as well. It could be very well that we need to see those markets fall aggressively as the dollar is rallying intensively. Okay, and we saw that happening very powerfully last year in 2022, for the whole year really. And even in not too long ago, at the beginning of the year in February or something like that, the same thing happened again. So something definitely to watch for. And even if you don't trade the dollar, this is something to keep in mind, because everything will be impacted by what happens to the price of the dollar itself. Last market for us to analyze is going to be the Bitcoin. I'm going to look at Bitcoin future, to be specific, the bakkt Bitcoin future, which is the contract that trades in the ICE exchange. And we can see in this case that we are in a down climate. Again, notice that the same thing is happening compared to gold, which is all because of the dollar. We've been 14 candles into this climate. Statistics suggest 6 is a normal thing to happen. So this climate has been overextending to the downside. Bitcoin is falling. Again, everything happened when that red UFO at 29,432 was hit a few weeks ago. We talked about this. And from there, this very strong move to the upside on Bitcoin was aborted, and now Bitcoin is moving in the opposite direction. So now this is very extended to the downside, 14 out of 6. Again, it's more than double. Statistically speaking, it's not sustainable, but the green UFO to turn this around are located at 24,800. So we may need to see the Bitcoin to extend a bit more to the downside before a turning point may happen in the opposite direction. So those are the 5 markets that we review every week as we start the week. Again, today is a pretty unique situation in the sense that we starting the week with a Memorial Day in the US, and therefore most markets are closed, and there is very little trading activity in some global markets, but not everywhere, definitely not. So it's a little bit of a different way to start the week. Also, I had a technical issue. If you are joining the session late, I had a technical issue on sharing my screen. So I am only able to share the charts, but I am not able to share the newsletter itself. You have the link in the bottom part of the screen, so you can go and see it directly yourself, but I cannot share it on my screen. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because now the normal thing I would do is to also talk about the economic reports for the week ahead. And in this case, to be honest, I have to say that most of the week there is not too much that is spicy until we get to Thursday, Friday, where there on Thursday we're going to have the unemployment claims being reported like every Thursday of the every single week, every Thursday of the month. Unemployment claims will be reported at 8:30 a.m. New York time. But most importantly, we're going to have the first Friday of the month on Friday, June 1st. And when that happens, Friday, June 1st or June 2nd, I believe it is. So, first Friday of the month. And when that happens, not only the report is going to be the unemployment claims the day before on Thursday, but on Friday, we're going to have the unemployment rate being reported, which that number is definitely very relevant and often leads to volatility situations in the marketplace because number is way better than expected or way worse than expected or something like that, and then the markets have an interpretation about that very important news that represents the economy, and from there lots of trading is taken in one direction or another, or many orders are canceled. So lots of watching of the UFOs when these things happen, because obviously market conditions of that sort lead to opportunities, but of course not by trading blindly, definitely by being careful and having a trading plan around that, using intelligent tools like the UFOs, if you're a UFO trader, or other tools if you use other tools, and therefore approach your trading systematically the way it should be done. I cannot share the economic report, but again, I made my point. Thursday and Friday are the most relevant days. Make sure you take a look at the report. It is there in the newsletter, so follow the link on the screen. But certainly don't forget Thursday and Friday, because those are going to be the spiciest days of the week, unless something else happens during the week, some another bank failure, another crazy story in the world that that could happen anytime. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure to have the opportunity to begin the week with you guys. Again, probably most of the traders, especially in the US time zone, are going to be pretty relaxed today, and you may end up watching this tomorrow. That's fine. But again, as always, happy to be here for you guys, and any questions that you have, any need for support, any need for a tool, or if you have suggestions for us, you have my email address on the bottom part of the screen, and definitely happy to read you, happy to connect with you, and happy to help. Everybody, you guys take care. See you in the next one. Trade safe, and if you are enjoying the holiday today, just make sure you do something special, so that way you prize yourself for the good trading that you do all the other days. Take care, everybody.